Hey, Dragon Slayers. It's been about an hour since my last meal, currently at 1:35. So today's video is all about how it's not selfish to put yourself first. So there seems to be a lot of confusion around the idea of self-love and what level of selfishness that entitles you to. In fact, many people shy away from ever putting themselves first as a means of ensuring that they will never be what society or their parents or religion or culture say is a bad person. But that's what we fear the most, being a bad person. Putting yourself first isn't a bad thing, when in actuality, it's not only okay, it's absolutely necessary to living your best possible life and slaying your diabetes dragon. The reality is that you cannot save anybody. You cannot force the world to change, but you can change yourself. You can take responsibility for yourself, you can heal yourself and pay attention to yourself. And when you tend to do your own physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual needs first, you place yourself in the position to be actually selfless, and not just selfless as a means of receiving the support that you need, which is what it ends up being most of the time. And there are 7 ways that I found that I have an article linked in the description below that goes over 7 basic ways to essentially put yourself first and why you should do it. I read or saw something a long time ago that said, you are the only person that you will 100% have to live with for the rest of your life. So you need to make sure that you are happy with you. So, tip number 1 is that if you don't fully charge your batteries, you won't ever have enough power to share with other people. If you aren't full, you can never give to others without feeling empty. The point is that you're not completely yourself if you're not taken care of. And if you're showing up to places half-hearted only because you're exhausted and miserable, it's just as bad, and nobody wants to be in the presence of someone who doesn't really want to be there. Tip number 2 is that nobody is going to save you. You can't save anybody, and no one can save you. It's the best and the worst part about being human. And somehow the thing is this, that it's the slowest thing that we admit. Nobody can force anybody else to get help or to be better. Tip number 3 is that nobody can change the world, but every person can change themselves. And if every person took the liberty to change themselves, we'd have a mass cultural change that we all so desperately claim that we want. Because everybody wants to change the world, but nobody wants to put in the work to change themselves. Tip number 4 is that putting yourself first is not the same thing as disregarding everyone else's needs. And if you've ever actually tried to completely put someone else's needs before your own, no matter what, you have no doubt come to the realization that it's simply impossible to do without becoming spiteful and then actually disregarding everybody else's needs. So you can't live your life for someone else. You have to live your life for yourself, right? Like, it's your life. You have a responsibility to yourself to live it. And it's all about taking care of your own needs and giving from your abundance. It's not selfish to take care of yourself first. It's selfish if you only ever take care of yourself, period. That's the definition of being selfish. And so, tip number 5 is that you have to take care of yourself eventually, right? Whether it comes before you drain yourself completely dry, catering to others' needs, and ultimately getting irritated that they're somehow not fulfilling you or your needs, there always comes a breaking point. Tip number 6 is that the more you put yourself first, the more you learn about honesty, genuinely completely serving others. So if your goal in life is to be selfless, you have to start with yourself. When you take care of yourself, everybody else can be taken care of as well. Putting yourself first isn't selfish. It's just the first and only overlooked step towards putting anybody else before your own needs. As humans, we often do things that we often don't do things unless we can get something out of it. So when your needs are already taken care of, you can actually genuinely give without any expectation. That's the only way to actually be selfish at the end of the day. So I'll leave tip 7 for you guys to read for yourself, but it's all about loving yourself. As cliche as it sounds, you can't truly love other people until you learn to love you. The process of learning to love you teaches you how to love others. So that's what I have for you guys today. And remember, together you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.